So there's this new guy in school, okay? And this new guy's becoming very popular really, really fast. Now, the popular guy in that school already sees this happening. And even though this guy sees this new guy and realizes that this new guy could actually become one of his closest friends because he actually likes the way he dresses, maybe the way he talks and behaves, he feels threatened. Because this new guy's coming in and he's becoming so popular, he's taking away the crowd that was originally around him. And as the old guy sees this new guy, who is the new popular new guy, he starts to get worried. Because now he's remembering what it feels like to be alone. And it's making him upset. So much so that he can no longer stand the new guy. He's exhausted his resources when it comes to him discovering little things about the new guy to give him an excuse to get more angry. He walks up to the new guy after school, and as he turns around, he hits him. And as the new guy's laying on the ground, the old guy feels pain. Because the voice inside of his head that wanted to be his friend just told him he's made the biggest mistake of his life. I've recently had a conversation with someone who wanted to know how to quieten their mind. And a lot of people out there, they're looking for this online and they've seen the same thing come up, and that is people saying to just be void of thought, to imagine nothingness, to try to just clear your mind. And what people do is they tend to create voidness. They create the space in which nothing is happening, but everything is happening. And they're creating this space which seemingly looks empty, just to divert their attention to it, giving them the delusion or the misperception that what they are looking at is void, emptiness, that their mind is empty. Really what you're just doing is you're directing your consciousness, your awareness, to something less noisy, which is stopping the original chatter coming up and distracting you from your meditations, or maybe if you're just stressed and you want to clear your mind. Now, pushing or directing your focus can have effects such as stress relief, yes, and it can stop you from getting involved within the mental chatter within your mind. But to truly quieten your mind, you need to figure out why it's so noisy in the first place. A lot of people, they ignore their inner voice, that first voice. When they're a child, they're a toddler, before they can even walk, they're just one mind. They're of one mind, one thought. That is it. They have not had people peer pressuring them into certain situations which then make them compensate within their head. They have not had people saying that they should do things when they know inside their mind, their true self, the source of their own consciousness, that it's bad, that part of them that knows bad from right. They've not had that happen. They have not talked through parts of their mind in order to come up with the correct responsibility towards any given situation, how you respond to any given situation. They've not had that yet. Why is the subconscious doing that? You get a lot done when you talk to somebody. You get to resolve a lot of issues because everything comes up to the surface and you get to figure things out. People who are very conversationalist, they're really good at communicating with people and they love talking to people to get rid of their own issues or maybe someone else's issues, therapists, that kind of thing. Understand that somebody who is logically always talking within their own head finds the best solutions to their problems by speaking it out loud. Because you're meeting it on its own level and you're dissolving it on its own level. Whereas if you get somebody who doesn't speak so much within their own mind and they're able to solve their problems by observing and not saying much in their own mind, you cannot get someone like this having a verbal conversation with someone who's always on the word-to-word basis within their own minds and expecting them to both clear their own issues. It just doesn't work like that. There are two different types of people on two different types of frequencies. This is why it's not working. Okay? Or in other words, they're not compatible. So what happens is the subconscious mind sees people in 3D talking and solving their problems, and it recognizes a problem within itself. It's intelligent. It recognizes the problem within its hardware, its thinking patterns. And it thinks, how am I gonna better resolve my issue? This is all happening without you knowing, which is why it's subconscious. Okay? Once you understand how and how to tap into your subconscious, you know how to fix it. But your subconscious mind's thinking, okay, I'm experiencing 3D. I'm experiencing people fixing their problems by speaking. I'm going to take a part of my consciousness, which is having a problem resolving this issue. And I'm going to turn it into a person, a thought form, and I'm going to speak to it. This is when you get people talking to themselves inside their own head, trying to come up with conclusions. What should I eat later on? Okay, how shall I find a certain place to move into? You know, what are my acquirements? What are my needs? What am I looking for? Who am I, kind of thing? Where you start wondering and you start thinking and you start debating within your own mind. It's because your subconscious backing is doing this because it understands that you are better suited to solving your problems by speaking to yourself. The problem is if you don't understand, if after a certain period of time, this voice inside your head, you start talking to it so much to the point where you start to believe or buy into the fact or the illusion that it's a separate entity, what can happen is you can find yourself thinking that it literally is a separate part from you. You start going to that voice for answers, okay? You start running away from that voice that's trying to tempt you into doing the bad or the good thing, okay? This is when somebody loses complete control over their mind. They're so confused as to what they're talking to. They start to buy into the fact that it looks or sounds like a separate person, when really their subconscious mind created this part of themselves just to talk to themselves, and it should have dissolved from there after the issue was fixed. But a lot of people can't do that. So how would you do that? Because after a long period of time, you start to accumulate all these voices and it gets incredibly messy and noisy inside your mind, and it's hard to quieten your mind when you're always talking to yourself. You're laying there trying to sleep quiet in your mind, and then you start hearing a voice which is in your own voice, and it's saying bagel, or ooh, tomorrow I'm going to eat some ice cream. Or it just shows you an image or something you want to do. Okay? Your subconscious mind, this part of your subconscious mind, is trying to get you to act on your thought forms. Whenever you think of an idea but you don't follow through, and you go to bed or you're sleeping or you're trying to rest, it's going to come up. This thought form that speaks as if it's another person is going to be like, hey, you said you're going to do this, but you didn't do it. You need to do it now. And it's going to start throwing things in front of your face until you get it done. The mind is very clever. It's very intelligent. You should never downplay or think light of the subconscious mind. You control it. You control your thoughts. You control your reality. Literally, how you respond to any given situation, attracting certain circumstances within your life. So how do you get rid of these voices, these chatters, in order to become clear enough to observe your consciousness? To be of one mind, like you used to be before you started accumulating or separating or splitting apart all of these parts of your main consciousness? Well, there is a thing you can do. If you say the word hate, or love, or joy, pay attention to when you're saying it, joy. It comes from like all under here, right? And it comes up, and then you say the word joy. So the feeling is backing the word. Same with your thoughts. When you mentally think a thought, there's a feeling that backs the thought. You've got to tune into that feeling to the point where you no longer hear the thought. And the best way to do that is to start with words first, okay? You say the word joy and you feel joy come up first. And it's an emotional response to your emotional body, okay? You've got many bodies that work in tandem to mobilize you through this life, to allow you to have this 3D expression, this experience. Don't downplay your emotional body because you hear everyone talking about emotions and you think it's a girly thing. Don't listen to society who stop you from looking at these parts of yourself, because otherwise, if you start thinking, oh, I don't want to do that because it's girly and what will everyone else think of me, how do you ever expect to grow if you're afraid to look at these parts of yourself? listen to yourself, okay? Say the word joy inside your mind, the energy comes up first. Then you recreate the energy without saying the word. Now you're getting good. You're getting good now if you can do that. Next, start from A. Say the word A, and you'll realize that there's the intention to say it, the feeling to say it, the mental feeling this time, to say A, okay? What you do is you slow it down the same way you did with the words, and then you get rid of the verbal communication, the verbal A inside your mind. So you're not listening to yourself saying it anymore, you're just feeling the feel, or you're listening to the feel, okay? You do that from A to B to C, all the way down to the last letter of the alphabet, and you'll find that all of the internal chatter will switch off. Why is that? Because each frequency of the letters that you're saying, or you're tuning into without saying mentally, okay, each frequency is attached to a thought form within your body. This is why the alphabet, certain mantras, certain vibrations and tones which you can recreate or just pay attention to are so important. Because when you tune into it, you gather that collective consciousness within your mind that may have been split apart, and you become one mind again. That's why after mantras you feel so good, right? So you want to go from A to Z, and you'll find yourself at the end being of one mind. This is when it gets really, really good, because now you've got the potential to be of one mind and to really exercise the art of listening. Because now you're void. Now there's nothing distracting you. Okay, you don't even have to create anything. Now it's just void. Okay? And when I say void, I mean you don't have to see the void. I mean, like, there is no reason to use your third eye to imagine anything. There is no reason to try to stop yourself from thinking about anything because nothing's coming up. This is a clear mind. Now you're at the perfect stage to practice the art of listening. This is when you literally feel your character. Okay, now you're operating as like the sole source of your own consciousness within this vessel, your body. And you're able to just observe the feeling within your body, and you're able to understand how the feelings within your body are changing your behaviors and making you say, speak, and even dress a certain way. Now you're tuning into your character, your characteristics of this program of your mind, the vessel of your body. Okay, because the vessel of your body holds it in the genetic memory of the organs, of the blood cells, of the bone marrow. You name it, your body is like a hard drive, and it's storing all this emotional content, this information, in order to help you express your character, okay? But when you get to the point where you can listen to all of this information, you get access to all of this information, thereby you get access to the subconscious mind, which is the body. Okay, this is where it gets really cool. Because once you get that good, you can then even see yourself from third person. Imagine what it would be like to leave the body and see yourself. And as you're leaving, you're taking that part of you, that one mind part of you, which is really conscious, and you're viewing your vessel with all of its information still inside it as you separate and you look, okay? And it's really simple to do, just to imagine yourself looking at your character, yourself in third person. You have nothing to you, no arms, no legs, nothing. You're not even speaking English because that's something that your character does. And as you watch your body, you're able to make this distinction from the source of yourself, of your own consciousness, and this character, which is the subconscious backing behind your ego, which is this persona, this character, which is brought forth into this world and created from the external world in order to have its experiences. So the art of listening is where you'll discover the most about your subconscious mind and how you're put together. You get really good at listening, you'll understand how you can change your character, you'll understand how your character is putting you in certain situations, and you'll understand how to manifest and manipulate your reality accustomed to you. This is when you'll be able to change parts of your character and attract certain things differently. This is when you're really aware, really awake when you do this, when you start to listen. But first you need to quieten your mind. Try out these techniques, try out these simple, I guess you can say, new ways of looking at mantras if you haven't heard of it, thought or taught about it done in this way. And I'll speak to you guys pretty soon.